Have you played 3.4 and said, ah, so that's what happened? Yeah, still don't get it. And now you seek explanation for one story point or the other. Or maybe you said, what the shrimp? And since then you've yearned to vicariously relieve that feeling of astonishment, delight, hatred, heartburn, surprise, crime, headache, development all over again. Or maybe you just heard this.
After all, you've also been bathed in that eon's gaze, which can awaken the long-dormant instinct inside a man.
And I didn't want to deal with it anymore without an HR present in the room. Well, I'm no HR, but I'm in a room and I totally get it. So today, it's stream time again. And stream time is time for a recap of Honkai Star Rail patch 3.4. The sun is set to die. Where we try to get it, try to rekindle the flame of intense emotion, and we judge that guy. Without trying. Judging that guy is not hard at all. But before we get to the judging, we start right where we left off in 3.3, the literal end of the world. Who cares at the middle of apocalypse? When need be, we take a break, we take a cute cat. But as far as the plot goes, Fanon has just kicked us out of the party to bring forth the Ironova all on his lonesome, so we return to the bathhouse to save Daha from Flame Reaver instead.
We must assist him!
Assist with what? Spinning around? Being pretty? Yeah, he's doing fine, and Flame Reaper has already been stopped. Do not fear, Skrulum is here, and he gets us up to speed. He is what he shares with us. Amphoreus is a world constructed from Memoria for research, but now falling into a path of
Destruction.
Destruction.
destruction. To pursue a different purpose, nurture a Lord Ravager and kill Noose. Technically, killing Noose is still research though. It's just research about how to kill Noose, isn't it? Skrulum also lets us know that March 7th is somewhere around Amphoreus and warns us that Lygus is likely behind it all. Then he asks one of us to stay and help with the Amphoreus crisis as admissions have been closed and no one, not even the Herter and the Skrulum, can get in now. We volunteer, or maybe we don't volunteer. It's all an illusion of choice. Because in the end, Daha returns to Astral Express while Trailblazer stays. At least Skrulum supplies Securia to keep us intact and connected to that sad world between looper sets. Then he glitches out. Speaking of looper sets and long exposition dialogues kindly demonstrated by Skrulum, we are at a point from which the history of Amphoreus will only keep getting longer and longer. So it might be a good time for a timeline shrimp intervention, also known as what the shrimp is going on here. So let's take a look. At the beginning, there was nothing. And then something or someone or an Ian or a kind-hearted bypasser shrimp, currently unknown, collected building materials, Memoria, sourced ethically. Or maybe not ethically at all, currently also unknown. And then this kind-hearted shrimp Ian, Bob the Builder, created an experimental world out of all that good Memoria, Amphoreus. Then they twisted it into a Rainbow Road Mobius loop because, you can't do experiments if your world isn't pretty, duh. From the beginning and until now, 3 paths joined the party. Erudition and Remembrance, in unknown order might I add, and then the Destruction came along. Now, we're here. In the now. And the now takes us back to the Trailblazer, left behind, all alone. That's a lie, I'm still here. But we're in a sad, wet, soggy bread situation and have no choice but to back Finan to take us back. It's an illusion of choice for him too. We just barge in onto his little moment with Lygus at the Vortex of Genesis unannounced and uninvited. Hey, wasn't the door locked? How did we get in? Anyway, we immediately warn Finan about Lygus, as one would do when faced with a cosmos-level crisis and a well-determined suspect, and so Finan says right. Of course, and makes Lygus Pinky promise he'll play nice. And then we all get along and restore the final core of flame. Soup. Lygus is so happy he breaks into a 3-act massive theater play. Oh, my soup. But before we watch his attempt at throwing a creative gauntlet at giants like Mr. Raka and Elia, let's check on March 7th Massive Theater, because she's about to mess into something, alright? March is in a path space, gate of memory in front of her, collision wall behind her, phantoms taking on faces of people she knows keep trying to lure her through the gates. A voice that soon turns out to be Cyrene tries to stop her. Cyrene says no one who goes through the gate comes back. And Cyrene has been stuck in a path space for a while. She doesn't know exactly what's up anymore, but she still wants to help and warn March 7th. It's a big girl club solidarity thing. So March 7th says, okie dokie, and goes through the gate. They still will see a uranium plate and bite into it because it looks like a candy. Now it's finally time for the bedtime story from Lygus. And I hope you brought enough snacks because Lygus too starts at the very beginning.
Let's start at the very beginning.
The Big Bang, the birth of particles, the emergency of all things, the Polka command. Wait, what? Okay, says Lygus, how about we talk about something else?
What is the prime mover of life?
Why does the life slumber? Did you know, says Lygus, that the scepters were meant to be used by Nous in their computations, but instead Nous just ignored scepters. Scepters were all very sad about it, but luckily for the scepter that's an Amphoreus, a different Ian looked at it and said that one scepter evolved into true life. You know what they'll say, one Ian's treasure is another Ian's treasure. Prologues done, it's time for Act 1, Departure. Which starts with an arrival as we arrive into Finan and Cyrene's past in the village of Edis Elysia, which looks a lot like Britain. Nobody can see us here except for Cyrene and Finan. Mom.
Found you.
We are their imaginary friend, and we have a grand time imagining hanging out with them, talking about their weird prophetic dreams.
I had the strangest dream.
And looking for Cyrene's divination deck to do some future reading.
Here they are, the Oracle cards.
Except we don't find the cards because the deck has been taken to a secret place by secret mems. Mems return the cards, which are actually the As I've Written book, and explain that it was all an excuse to get Cyrene and Finan to visit. Turns out mems also have been getting weird prophetic messages from the Veil of Evernight, warning of a looming disaster, but never mind the looming disaster. Cyrene does a card reading, it divines for Finan his fated future companions, Crisis heirs, and the Deliverer card
The Deliverer.
for Finan himself. However, good things are not made to last in Amphoreus. You get one good hangout, one good day, okay? Then it's time for the looming disaster to not loom anymore and to actively disaster. To be the disasters! The Finan's tragic backstory, not a far future. It's scheduled for today, and we get to leave the day his village burned, mostly through those beautiful black screens. It's still a PG-12. 1. Finan Japak allowed. But it's no longer Act 1. It's Act 2, Trial. And from that point onwards, Lygus includes plenty of time skips. Here, for instance, we jump from the Edis Elysia burning to Finan meeting Mighty. At this point of history, Crimnons seek to enter Okhama, but that can't happen until the face of Cramnus, Mighty, faces against the face of Okhama, Finan, in a trial of Talantan. That whole what weighs more than the fate of the world thing. They literally have only one question in this test. It's kinda getting easy to cheat. The answer is the resolve to shoulder the past and carry it into the future. By the way, if you also get that on your next exam. Way more surprisingly, however, Cyrene is there too. For all we know, she was supposed to die back in the Edis Elysia, so how could that be? All is revealed in Act 3, Return, as we return to the end of the world. The final moments where Finan and Cyrene stand together, preparing to usher in the Era Nova. Although this is not the only final moment we see, as we get a glimpse of other attempts to finish the Amphoreus loop. That should have been the one. That should have been the one. And those glimpses are but a small selection of attempts from a total
of 33,550,335 times.
that Finan has entered the vortex of Genesis to finish the flame-chasing journey, with all attempts ending in the same manner, Flame Reaver catching up at the last moment and getting killed by Finan. All attempts, but one. The Cycle 0, where Finan and Cyrene stood together and reached the vortex for the first time, only to land that they were Sims and Lygus' big legacy save all along.
Holiday.
Meant to fuel Lord Ravager Iron Term through AI training.
They were a deep learning program made for the Black Tide.
I know now what's inside here. Bullshit. No Era Nova planned for their Crisis Heir friends, no Era Nova for anyone anymore. Only adoption papers for Cyrene and Finan from Nanook and Arentum. Nanook owes so much in child support money. And new names Lygus picked for them after they've managed to get to the end of the loop. I don't actually know, is there a mysterious tragic reason behind why Cyrene's and Finan's creation names are like that?
Nikos 496. Philia 093.
Or was Lygus just in his XXX Raven Boy 90 XXX Amber era? The Leah 93, or Cyrene as we know her, figures however that a show like Amphoreus Gossip Girls would probably pull in higher TV ratings than just one flimsy Ian.
We could always choose another option.
We know that to be true, but good on Cyrene extrapolating that information within a minute of learning she's a fictional character, and that Ian is a word. So, a pink girl genius Cyrene makes a plan, and unlike Lygus who couldn't help giving a speech, you can't be a villain without a monologue, you know? The heroes don't share the plan with the villain.
But we're not gonna tell ya.
Not on purpose, at least. We don't know what kind of documentary cameras Lygus got installed around the place. But the plan, it's simple yet effective. Eternal suffering and sacrifice. Nothing little eternal suffering and sacrifice wouldn't fix. The two will put the loop they are in on repeat. Cyrene, the loop's demigod of time, will keep using Ornic's power in each of her incarnations to reset the loop. The Cycle 0 Cyrene will otherwise vanish from the world together with the real flow of time. The Cycle Zero Fanon in turn will keep reliving the same journey, collecting core flames before the finale and stopping the experiment going forward each and every time. In this plan, all they need to do is hold out until somebody from outside steps in, and they don't know if that would ever happen, but they do just that. Cyrene sacrifices herself, and the Cycle Zero Fanon, or should I say,
Kaslana.
travels back and starts a new cycle, eventually going on to live through 33,550,335 recurrences. Whoa, this takes longer to say than completing one cycle. Couldn't we have gone with an easier number like 17 or something? In each cycle, a fresh new Fanon gets killed by or kills Kaslana. The direction doesn't matter. All Fanon roads lead to becoming Kaslana in the end. And each cycle's Fanon Kaslana, Fanonana, inherits the truth and carries the legacy of all other Fanons, all Cyrenes, all Crisis heirs, into the next cycle. Kaslana does try changing the fate at first, letting the events play out differently, but eventually it all comes down to the same scenario put on repeat. And the Crisis heirs down for their core flames, try to assault the Scepter core, and failing that, reset the loop. And even deteriorating further and further from the heat of millions of core flames burning inside,
I will still never yield to it.
Kaslana never gives up. And the most impressive part is not just the resilience, it's the fact that Kaslana is keeping track of how many cycles it's been, and doing the core flame math along with it. I need to count from scratch now and then to remember how old I am. I'm stunned. And then I'm stunned again, because after we reach the latest and greatest cycle, the one we were part of, Fanon resigns, makes Trailblazer the new Kaslana the Deliverer, and then uses the newfound freedom and the core flames he just inherited to throw a huge party. The party theme is, thanks for asking, punching Nanook in the face. A well-deserved little me time for Fanon SA. Look how happy he's here. The only little teeny tiny problem is that as I've read, turns out to be a gaming console from a quote-unquote admin, I know what you really are, Ryan Boy like us, and admin access shows documentation on all Crisis S, and for Fanon it says he, well, kind of, allegedly, matched with Iron Tomb. Oh no. All shall bid farewell to one, and that person alone shall witness the miracle. Probably not that one though. Now for our special segment! Who is this ma'am? It's Cyrene! What? No, I'm so surprised. So remember, gaining memory sacrifices herself to fuse with us and whisk us 1,000 years into the past where we are left all alone. That's again a lie, I'm still there, but this time suspiciously Cyrene shaped. Not to mention the whole of Amphoreus is waiting for us now to deliver, I guess. Kaslana Prime. Well, at least they left a chest for me in the past. Only 2 questions now remain for the Amphoreus. The future, that is to say, what are we going to do now? Anybody knows a good hobby we can waste 1,000 years on? In the past. That is to say, who in the name of Holstrom Sands funded this project? And are people come on post to support for that budget? Or is it a lonely funds miscellaneous on your expensive file, Legos? Come on, Legos, you can tell us. I'm calling the HR, but you can tell us. But until they get back to me, take very good care, everybody, and have yourself a assuredly good time. Bye-bye. Mwah. So